We're going to talk about the government. Oh my God, a government shutdown. The sky is falling. Millions of people are going to be unemployed. The economy is going to go into a recession. This is terrible. We are about the data, not the noise, and how that may or may not affect your investments. Hello and welcome to the Wise Money Guys radio show. I'm your co-host, John Scambray, and I'm here with my partner,
Giuseppe Visconti.
And I should mention that we are certified portfolio managers. That makes us investment experts. If you're listening to this show for the first time, Giuseppe and I have been in this industry for a combined almost 50 years. And I would say in the region, we're one of the top advisory planning firms, and we're not the ones saying it. Our clients are extremely satisfied, so much so that often we get new clients primarily by referral. And we're not asking for referrals. They just are so satisfied with what we do that they turn around and refer us their friends, family, colleagues, so on and so forth. But that's not what the point of the show is going to be today. There's a lot going on. We're going to talk about the government shutdown. And the reality is, does that affect the markets in a positive way or a negative way? We're going to talk about some data versus just maybe what you hear and what's sensationalized.
Data versus a narrative.
Data versus the narrative. And one of our favorite people and favorite firms has coined that, right? Because we are about the data, not the noise. And so we'll talk more about the government shutdown and how that may or may not affect your investments. Also, I've got to mention, Giuseppe, that, hey, we're only, a couple of weeks away? Almost exactly
from what?
2 weeks away from our workshop.
Next workshop, yeah.
Yeah, our retiree workshop. So if you're retired or you're contemplating retiring, you'll want to come to our Concord workshop at the Old Spaghetti Factory. It's from 6 to 7:30 p.m., and which is a Wednesday, and you need to give us a call at 916-967-3500. Let's dig in a little bit here on this government shutdown. First and foremost, I'm just going to say...
I'll say before we jump into that, I want to wrap up September. September was surprisingly...
Oh, yeah, please
typically a negative month when you look at history. I mean,
going back to like the 40s, right?
Yeah. I mean, 44% of the time, September has been positive, but on average, if you average it out, the market is down almost 1%. It's
typically in September.
Correct. Yeah. But we turned out a positive month in September. So it went against the grain there.
Yeah. And that may be indicative of the revision to GDP. I mean, we saw positive revisions to GDP. So this whole, the yield curve, which we don't need to go into the dynamics of that too much. But when you take unemployment, the yield curve, GDP being revised up, I think
you're thinking a little too deep there.
Okay. Well, in a nutshell,
I think it's just AI. AI is back.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about
AI
the rest
back
of stocks.
Fed's cutting rates, and those two components right there is like, let's jump on the roller coaster.
And quite frankly, interest rates have come down a smidge. The 10-year Treasury was starting to creep back up
a little bit, yeah.
And now it's back down closer to just 4% flat again.
Yeah,
so, I mean, again, when you add it all up, I think the reason where I was going with that, the reason why we didn't see a pullback or a correction in September, like the majority of years past, certainly over the last several decades, is because of those things. And now, the information out there that is, oh my God, okay, a government shutdown, the sky is falling, millions of people are going to be unemployed, the economy is going to go into a recession. This is terrible. But let's really break it down. Is it terrible?
It could be, because I'm supposed to go to San Francisco for Fleet Week. And I saw some article that it may not go on with this government shutdown. I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but I'm hoping not.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the Blue Angels.
I highly doubt that Fleet Week will be canceled, because I think the funding for Fleet Week primarily comes, and the funding for the Blue Angels comes from the Navy and the Department of Defense. And one of the essential services is the Department of Defense. And so that's, let's really get into the nitty gritty.
Break it down.
The reality is, I don't believe, and certainly data that you'll dig into a little bit doesn't suggest that the sky is falling when the government shuts down. Because really, what is shutting down? The people who have been destroying government and spending and destroying our economic balance sheet, if you will, those are the primary resources that get shut down. Right. I mean, first, Congress.
So therefore, we'll have less spending during the shutdown period.
Exactly right.
Which would be a good thing, because we got a little bit too much of it, and hence why we had inflation.
And the main thing that gets shut down is the House of Representatives. Both the Congress and Senate get shut down. And so these 535 individuals, which have been bankrupting both sides. I mean, I'm conservative, you're conservative, but when it comes to facts, the facts are that politicians have been bankrupting the United States and spending money frivolously on things that don't benefit Americans for decades. So getting these politicians out of the way, I hope the shutdown lasts for weeks, for months. I think the longest in history is 20 days or 40 days or something like that. Isn't it in your notes there? Well, it's not very long, sadly, in my opinion. But the reality is, here we are. We're shut down. It's been 3, 4, 5 days. I don't know the exact days, but what's going on that the essential need to be going.
Essential services are still intact.
Social Security gets paid still. Medicare still functions and pays. The military still functions and pay, and all of your law enforcement activities still function and get paid. So really, it's the deep state, the bureaucracy, and the majority of these politicians that are worthless that get shut down. So, which is actually healthy, especially when you consider one thing that a lot of people don't know. This now will allow Trump to actually let go more of the federal bureaucracy that is part of the deep state that spends hundreds of billions of dollars every year with no accountability whatsoever, that goes to, super PACs and, less than legitimate, not-for-profits, countries that don't deserve a nickel, illegal criminal aliens that absolutely don't deserve a nickel, so on and so forth. And one of the big things,
spending that doesn't improve
our lives. So from an investment perspective, it still boils down to that fundamentals and technicals of good quality American companies are how you make money and will continue to make money and thrive in this marketplace. Because we'll talk about investment strategy and some investment areas that we like and we regularly utilize in the show. But at the end of the day, my opinion is government shutdown good. It makes me wonder, are people in the media, especially the big three, like ABC, CBS, NBC, and all that they own, I mean, are these people really that ignorant to the facts of what's going on?
Just the talking heads on or the ones running it.
Do they honestly think that the Inflation Reduction Act, as an example, was going to, cut inflation somehow or help the economy in any way? It was really,
I'm sure, because you can pick parts of it, focus on those parts that support your thesis or your argument, right? It's like anything. I mean, there's so much information out there. Like we can have a discussion and say, do you believe in aliens? And you may say, no, you're crazy, right? You're looking at me like, maybe I do.
I mean,
but I can
space and time is infinite, has
but I
beginning
can
and no end.
But you could tell me, point blank, no, you're crazy. I can go on the internet, or I can go on my phone, and I can start pulling up stuff to help support.
So you
my argument.
don't think there's little green men, but more importantly, have you ever gone down the rabbit hole?
I didn't say I don't think
that secretly the moon has been colonized, and on top of that, there is aliens living amongst us. I mean,
there's a wormhole
that you can go down.
Well, my point is to your question of these talking heads on these, media outlets and them spewing this information, sharing this information with all their viewers. Do they actually believe in what they say? One, they're told what to say. Two, they have a biases. And three, they're going to have whatever, picked out in piece. Like, we can take any video of, let's say, Trump or Biden, and then clip out like the worst or the best part of it.
Will change the narration, the narrative.
It'll change the whole perspective of that clip, right?
Which is why, was it NBC or ABC or CBS got sued by the Trump campaign and won because they manipulated. They didn't manipulate
editing and clipping.
Editing. They manipulated Kamala Harris's.
I remember that. That was last year,
or whatever it was, in a positive way.
Yeah,
and then
but didn't air the full interview.
What Trump said to make it appear, negative.
Yeah,
and he of course sued, and that never makes the headlines because they're never going to admit that to the corruption and fraud that these mainstream media outlets utilize.
But here's the bottom line: is media. How does media make money? They have to sell. They have to viewership. So it's got to be catchy. It's got to get sensationalism. Exactly, and that's the problem. And that's the problem with a lot of the stuff that's on the internet these days, and the information that you're trying to seek out there.
Absolutely,
because you're trying to go after clicks, right? And how do we get more clicks? How do we get more viewers? We have to have some wow factor to it. We have to have some. And if it's not, it's just boring.
Yeah. So why do we talk about this? The reality is you have to have a good team on your side to weed through the overgrowth of noise and the sensationalism, and dig in and try to find and utilize the data and the facts to make and really manage one's investment portfolios and help them accomplish their financial plan.
You make better educated decisions moving forward, especially when it's meaningful decisions, whether it's, hey, should I buy a house? Should I sell my house? Should I invest in this? Should I take this pile of cash and do X or Y with it, or just sit on it, whatever the case may be? And to your point, going back to data, which we haven't talked about yet, is this whole government shutdown thing and what has been on the news, what has been on the major media outlets about it, right?
No, what it takes away is the additional health insurance, not rights to health care, not access to hospitals and doctors, but takes away the health insurance subsidies to illegal aliens, to criminal illegal aliens and people that don't have work visas, don't have, legal resident status. It takes away the subsidies that were Obamacare was one thing that added billions and billions of dollars in annual expense, tens of billions of dollars in annual expense, and made health insurance less affordable.
Right.
What people don't know is
health insurance has been
in the inflation
ridiculous.
Exactly.
That's one thing that we actually have to focus on in financial planning when people come to us and say, hey, I want to retire a little early at Medicare. 62 or 60. I want to retire. That's one thing that we have a discussion about. I mean, 20 years ago, it wasn't that much of a discussion because it wasn't. But now,
because health insurance was affordable until Obamacare destroyed it.
Yeah, and even small businesses right now. I mean, they're already hit over the head with a higher interest rate environment, right? As far as borrowing loans or business loans or what have you. But even starting your own business, I have a family friend just got into business this year. You know what the biggest concern and conversation?
The premiums.
$3,000
premiums.
It's a family of four. She's got two little ones, actually a most recent baby, and then a daughter who's in, I believe, 5th grade now.
Wow. So that's a big gap.
Yeah. And his wife is at home because they decided to homeschool. Right. So he's the breadwinner, went into business for himself. And the biggest gripe, right, and what he's battling with right now is $3,000 a month is his insurance.
You look at our business, a registered investment advisory fee firm, and, insurance is a major factor. Our professional liability, our errors and admissions, our real estate insurance, then health insurance,
healthcare insurance,
auto insurance, so on. When you add up all the insurance costs, it's a huge percentage.
Yeah. But you have to have it.
But
you have to have it. Yeah. It's not like you say, no, we can't, we'll just do without it because we want to cut costs.
Yep.
$18,000 for that particular here in Sacramento, $18,000 a month. And here's the sad part about it is that it's so expensive. And the one that's $16,000 a month, I personally know because my grandfather was in this care facility when he had COVID. He was in his 90s. So he was in there. My mom, it was so bad. Literally, my mom took him out and said, I'm going to care, because he was living with my parents at the time. I'm going to care for him at home. That's how bad it was there. But one of my best friends.
He wasn't in a care home in New York, because remember, Cuomo was responsible for they say purposely, not helping people in elderly type establishments, and responsible for these 90-year-olds and 80-year-olds and many of them, dying.
Well, and you're not getting the level of care. You're not getting actually the level of care that you should be getting on a normal, just essential basis, but let alone $16,000 a month level. So when you factor those things in, those are the curveballs that we really look at when we're putting a plan together, because you can't plan them. Nobody has a crystal ball. And hopefully that scenario or event doesn't happen within your lifetime. But if it does, you don't want to be, hit with a curveball, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I got to sell my house. I got to do this. I can't do that. And you're panicking now.
It all boils down to how important our strategy, our overall philosophy is to helping people in retirement or about to retire, manage their money, help them create, a workable, living, breathing, highly probable financial plan, because we focus on cash flow, right? The thing is here, is anybody really planning for $16,000 a month for a care? Think about it. If most people that have been retired for a while, 5 years, 10 years or more, when they got to $1 million, maybe you have Social Security, you have your pension, you have $1 million, you have no debt, and you thought, hey, $1 million, I'm good. But $16,000 a month, you're talking almost $200,000 a year
in a 1 year.
Even if you have $1 million, $1 million
20%
in 5 years, half of it's gone.
Well, so if it stays at the same rate, but they're going to raise it every year.
Oh, it's going to get worse. So these times don't allow you to think, oh, I have $1 million and that I can be satisfied with a 3% bank rate, CD rate, savings rate, even a 4% treasury rate. Well, I think that I'm going to keep up with potentially what things are going to cost me in the future.
And a lot of times it's doing the simple math, and that's what is the the part that's confusing to people is they say, well, I have $1 million. All I need is an extra $30,000 a year. And I found a bank and it gives me 4%. So 4% on $1 million is $40,000. I'm good. That's more than what I actually need on top of my Social Security and pension.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually have a little bit more, so I'm good. But no, when you factor in 5, 10, 15 years out, you factor in inflation, then you factor in one of these curveballs as a scenario. How does it really impact everything? And that's what we take a look at.
So let's make it real simple. So if you're in your 60s or 70s and you're in relatively good health and you have $500,000, whatever the number is in your IRA, your Roth, your trust, your joint account, individual account, whatever it is, you need that to, at least in my opinion, be earning 7-8% per year in order to plan for the future so that 500,000, that million, that grows by hundreds of thousands, if not doubles over the next 10 years, so that the reality is you're insured, you're prepared for something that is bound to happen. You make it to your 80s and you need help with your care. It's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. It might not even be the 16. It might be 10 or 8 or whatever. It's still going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you can't make, 3-4% on your money and think for the next 10, 20, 30 years, you're fine. So if you already have a Schwab account, a Fidelity account, a Goldman account, and you're not satisfied with how things have been managed or not satisfied with some of the solutions and service that you've been receiving, give us a call at 916-967-3500. Well, that's all the time we have. I hope you enjoyed listening to the Wise Money Guys radio show. Come back and give us a listen next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye, all.
Talk to you next week.